One of the common arguments thrown at antinatalists is that if everybody stops having children, humans would go extinct, implying that that is a bad thing to happen. Now, there are many nuances to this within human extinction and even beyond human extinction. Mati Hairi published a paper analyzing the relationship of antinatalism and extinction. Titled Confessions of an Antinatalist Philosopher, Hairi explores different alternatives about extinction before confessing which flavor he mostly favors. Mati draws a scale of natalism as shown on this diagram. To simplify, on the leftmost end are the people who think that we have a duty to have children. These are strict pronatalists or anti-antinatalists. On the right extreme are the people who think that we have a duty not to have children. These are strict antinatalists or anti-pronatalists. In the middle are those who think that it is either good to have children or not good to have children, but we don't necessarily have a duty either way. Mati confesses that he is on the right extreme of this scale, that is, he is a strict antinatalist. This chart shows classification of antinatalism in relation to extinction. As you can see, the main division is between non-extinctionists and extinctionist antinatalists. Within non-extinctionist antinatalists, there are those who are okay if biological reproduction continues. Now you might wonder, how could this even be? These are actually what I myself have referred to in the past as local antinatalists. That is that they oppose procreation in certain pockets of space and or time. For example, we should not have children now because we are overpopulated or there is climate change happening. But once those problems are solved, we could have children sometime in the future. Or only those in certain overpopulated countries or regions, etc., should not have children to reduce a burden on their resources. Alternatively, there could be conditional antinatalists who would say that we should not have children, but others can. Mati prefers to call these selective pronatalists as the focus shifts on who should have children selectively. The second category is where biological reproduction stops, but we don't go extinct. From here on, there is pure imagination as it involves sci-fi-like scenarios. We develop technologies to make existing humans immortal such that they never die but don't reproduce new beings. This way, we don't go extinct, but we are all antinatalists. This might be a problem for those who feel the drag of immortal meaninglessness. So this can further be divided into the world where right to one's own death is granted or denied. Still on the sci-fi dream, Mati evaluates the possibility of virtual human continuity, that is, mind uploading to a computer or some variation of that. But he eventually rejects this as antinatalism because in the process of this mind uploading, what would most probably happen is the biological human is annihilated and a new digital entity would be created. So the continuity of identity will be broken, resulting in creation of a new person, albeit a digital one. Note that all these non-extinctionist, antinatalist or selective pronatalist variations only deal with human non-extinction and human antinatalism. The complexities of other species in this respect were not evaluated in this paper. On the extinctionist side, we have three value-based categories. One which deals with human extinction, that is anthropocentric, which in turn can lead to voluntary or involuntary human extinction. Under the biocentric axiology, that is, if you value entire biosphere positively and think that humans are causing damage to it, then you might want human extinction to happen too, like the case of voluntary human extinction movement or involuntary human extinction. If you think all sentient beings by definition have to go through suffering and that is a bad thing and you would want extinction of all sentient beings, then this would be sentiocentric view. In this, you would want human extinction as well as extinction of those species which are bred by humans either for consumption and companionship. This will also include a case for wild animal extinction. Here I thought this diagram got a little confusing, so I made my own version of this diagram. In this diagram, the first classification is not on axiology, but on whose extinction we are talking about. So under the general umbrella of extinctionists, there are anthropo, that is human-centric extinctionists. They would want humans to be extinct because humans suffer based on philanthropic arguments of antinatalism, so that is philanthropic extinctionism. On the other hand, humans as species in general are known to cause a lot of harm to others. This includes harms to other humans, harms to other animals, or harms to entire biosphere in general. The last one is where the likes of Let's Unite and their voluntary human extinction movement is located. The implication of all these is human-centric antinatalism, that is to stop bringing new humans into existence. Sentiocentric view includes human-centric concerns, hence the dotted arrow between the two. But on top of that, it also includes non-human animal suffering. This includes animals bred by humans for human consumption or companionship. This would require stopping of production of those animals. For the animals which are not bred by humans, they are either stray dogs and cats and so on, or wild animals. We already have widely accepted practices of sterilization of stray animals, but sterilization of wild animals does not enjoy that luxury, and it also involves a lot of complexities. So here you see we started with extinction and ended on antinatalism as an implication or a means to bring about such extinction. But we can flip this diagram as seen here. We can start with antinatalism and we land on corresponding types of extinction as a consequence of antinatalism. So which one is better? This brings on to another point which Mati makes in the paper. Barring the imaginary case of human immortality, extinction and antinatalism cannot be thought as two distinct consequences of our decision to have children, at least in the case of humans. Mati says, and I quote, "If our aim is to eliminate coming into existence of manipulated, harmful or suffering beings, our work is not done before manipulated, harmful and suffering beings cease to be born. The outcomes cannot be separated." End quote. But we can still think about the direction of cause and effect. And here Mati takes an analogy. Imagine there is a doctor who wants to treat a patient who is in severe pain. The doctor can give that patient pain relieving medication. And it might be that in that process, unfortunately, the patient dies. It's an unfortunate consequence, but it would still be acceptable to most of the people. On the other hand, if the doctor administers a lethal dose to the patient in order to kill him, to liberate him from this pain, it would not generally be acceptable. Similarly, we can think of antinatalism as the medication to prevent suffering and extinction as a consequence of that action, albeit a regrettable one. In the words of David Benatar, and I quote, "The central question about extinction as applied to humans is the prospect of human extinction something to be regretted? I shall answer that although the process of extinction may be regrettable, and although the prospect of human extinction may in some ways be bad for us, it would be better, all things considered, if there were no more people and indeed no more conscious life." End quote. If extinction, on the other hand, is our goal, then we have to think about thought experiments like pushing the red button, which will annihilate all the beings, or at least all the sentient beings, instantly. Benatar has denied pushing such a button on the accounts of annihilation as well as preference frustration. David Pierce has agreed to push such a button. Mati also says that he agrees to push such a button, but also notes that this is purely a thought experiment. He would not support development of such a button in real life because it could lead to larger suffering and a lot of rights violations. Finally, Mati confesses where he is on his chart. He says that he agrees with the positions for stopping of human reproduction voluntarily and production of animals by humans. He is not for involuntary stoppage of human reproduction or wild animal extinction.